Hey everyone, welcome to Just in the Nick of Crime, your daily dive into the stories behind the headlines. Before we get started, want to let you know that we have some breaking news that I'm going to get to in just a moment regarding the UHC thing, but I have to do, go through the rounds, do the things that we got to do, right? So let me give a quick shout out to the Mod Squad. You guys are the real MVPs. You keep this community safe and thriving 24/7 whenever we're live. I appreciate you guys. And to all my loyal viewers, I see you guys filing in right now, showing up every day, hitting those likes, dropping those comments, and sharing these videos. Let's keep that energy going, y'all. Push this episode right here or this live. We're almost at the 10,000 mark. You're going to make it here before I finish this sentence, and I appreciate you guys. You guys made it on TikTok, and I appreciate it. Yay, thank you all for that. All right. Anyways, if you are new here, please keep doing it. Help push it out there. Smash that subscribe button, turn on notifications, because trust me, you don't want to miss a single twist in the tales we are about to unravel. Today, we're going to be tackling 4 major stories that are sending shockwaves through the worlds of tech, healthcare, and celebrity justice. First up, we're going to talk about the D.C. court that just dealt with a major blow to TikTok, upholding a law that could force its sale or ban. But with President-elect Trump's ties to a major ByteDance investor, the future of this ruling is anything but certain. We also have Anthem doing a complete 180 on a controversial anesthesia coverage policy after facing massive public backlash. It's a testament to the power of social media activism and holding insurance giants accountable. We also still have the manhunt for UHC, the person who shot UHC CEO Brian Thompson. That's heating up. We have some breaking news, which actually that's what I will start with here in just a moment. With new DNA evidence and surveillance footage painting a clearer picture of the suspect's movements. And as the healthcare industry scrambles to protect its top brass, we're left wondering, who's next? Now, last and certainly but not least, you guys probably thought I forgot about Diddy, but I did not, because we all know he's still facing that legal firestorm. And now there's leaked court reportings, which we're going to talk about, recordings, not reportings, harsh detention conditions, and bombshell civil case allegations that are all converging, which is threatening his right to a fair trial, meaning that he could potentially walk free. Now, these are the stories that will shape the conversations we have in the days and weeks to come. And what we're talking about today, they are complex, they are controversial, and they are evolving by the hour. So buckle up, grab your notepad, and let's dive into the details that the mainstream media isn't telling you. Now, with that said, we do have some breaking news right now, and that's what I wanted to start with. So before we get into the rest of the stuff, I want to make sure that you guys know this. I did just do a video on it, but police apparently believe that the man who is responsible for the shooting of the UHC CEO is no longer in New York City. They believe that he is no longer in New York City. So let me tell you what we know. This is like breaking, brand new news. I'll tell you that first. And again, we will get into more of this, but this is something that I did not prepare for. It's what made me start this show a little bit late today, y'all. So they believe that the person, basically what he did is we saw in the surveillance video that he got on a bike, right? And he left and he went to Central Park. They believe from there that he changed clothes, which would give him the opportunity to hide in plain sight. If you have ever been to New York City, you know there's a ton of people around. But they believe after that, he took and I guess they have evidence of this, took a taxi cab to a bus depot, and that he is no longer in New York City. So this does a few things. Let's talk about that real quick. All right. First of all, by taking a bus, it means that you probably don't have to show an ID. And he did have a fake ID before. They're definitely not running it like planes, and you can pay cash for that bus ticket right there on the spot and get on the bus and leave, especially if he's wearing a hat and mask again, which again, in New York, not uncommon to see people wearing masks. I was just there. Not uncommon. Okay. Especially when you're talking about traveling. So that's what they believe happened. So with that being the case, if he is out of New York City, it's out of the NYPD's jurisdiction, could take it to New York State Police, assuming he's even still in the state. But we are now in day 3 of this manhunt, right? Day 3 of this manhunt. I'm calling it a manhunt because a lot of y'all out here aren't hunting for him. A lot of y'all are out here. Y'all see nothing. I've seen the comments. Your glasses aren't covered by insurance. You can't see a thing. I see it. But at this point, New York is close to Canada. Guy had a passport. He could be anywhere by now. 3 days in, he could be anywhere by now. At that point in time, every hour that passes makes it less and less likely that he's going to get caught. And that's just the bottom line. That is the bottom line of what's going on. Now, all of that said, I want to make sure that we get into the things that pay our bills here, right? Okay. You guys know what time it is. I have to pay I got to keep the lights on here. You guys like what I do. I like what I do. I got to make money to do that. So here we are. I'm going to tell you what it is. Now, TikTok shop, I'm going to put one of these up real quick for y'all, just so you know what I'm talking about while I do it. I'll take it down briefly. I would normally say I'm really bad about them. I'm normally like, don't feel obligated, but you know what? Feel obligated. Feel obligated. Once you get the links, you can kind of see this. But anyways, that being said, so what I'm showing on my screen on YouTube, and again, if you want to jump over to YouTube to see the photos of stuff and video that we're going to be showing today, feel free to do that. If not, you're welcome to sit right there. YouTube is the same name as here, Justin on TikTok. Sorry, that's my old name, Justin the Nick of Crime. But this book right here is my newest one. I wrote these, so when you see me promoting these books, it is me that writes them. It's not me promoting somebody else's product, and I did them for all good reasons. This is my newest one called The Lost Balloon, a book about sharing, but it is so much more than that. Not only does it help teach your children about sharing, it also helps teach kids, how to make friends with those who seem different and how to learn and accept people of other cultures, other backgrounds, etc. That is part of the book and what's important to it. And what's pinned right now should be at least is I think a 3-book hardcover bundle. I'm out of soft covers on my next book, my second book right here, my third book. This one right here is called Boundaries. We have these in hard and soft cover available if you just need to buy itself. If you are part of that 26% of millennials and Gen Z that are no contact, limited contact with a family member and you have children, you need to pick this book up. It is the only book in existence that helps you explain to your children why in a way that's simple for them to understand and doesn't vilify that person. All right. And not only that, it teaches kids what conditional relationships are so they can hopefully avoid them, and teaches them how to set boundaries within a family, which is something that most of us were never allowed to do. Now, finally, the most important book that I believe that I wrote that's designed to help keep your kids safe and to prevent me from doing a story on them like we're doing right now on certain things, is called Surprises Are Okay, Secrets Are Not. And especially with the holidays coming up, I am sold out of these in soft cover. You can only get them in hardcover right now, and that'll be the case till the end of the year. But with the holidays coming up, people coming in and out of your house, I cannot stress how much you guys need this book if you don't have it already. This book is designed to teach kids that surprises have end dates, secrets don't, and that adults should never, ever, ever, ever be asking your kids to keep a secret. On top of that, there is a Q&A at the very end of it that you as the parent can have a discussion and open the dialogue with your child about certain situations that you want to talk to them and have age-appropriate conversations. So if you want to get those, pick them up at the link below. They're pinned here. That is for the 3-book hardcover bundle, which is on sale right now. And I will sign those. You can put in the notes when you check out who you want me to sign them to, and I will dedicate them to your kids. They make a phenomenal holiday present, and we're limited in quantity. So again, pick those up if you don't have them already. Now, the next couple things we got to talk about, these are really important. Just real quick, because we're going to be talking about a TikTok ban potentially, make sure that you follow your other favorite creators, including me, if I am one of your favorite creators, on other social media apps. I am now on BlueSky. I'm not posting a lot on there yet, but I plan to change that very soon. Right here is my name on BlueSky, same name. But you can also go to the link tree if you are on TikTok, or to JustInTheNickOfCrime.com, and you can get to all of my socials. All right. So you can follow me there, but make sure, just in case, you follow your favorites on the platforms. For me on TikTok, if you go to my link tree, it has everywhere that I'm at. The other thing that I want to remind you guys, especially with the holidays approaching, if you have somebody who is for lack of a better word, fan, or just really likes my content and it would make their day to get a video directly from me or a personalized true crime story from me, I am on Cameo, guys, and I am cheap. I do not know my worth. You can pick me up for next to nothing, and I am not against prostituting myself out for videos to earn a little bit extra income this holiday season. But I'm on Cameo, and you can get into that through JustInTheNickOfCrime.com or through the link in my bio. Now, the last thing, and this is the most important, TikTok people, you need to listen up for this part, and then we're going to get into the news stories, guys. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Central time on TikTok, and there is a link in my bio that you guys can go on and register so you don't miss this live. I will be interviewing none other than the Ashley Banfield. Okay, I've been on Banfield before, but I got her to come on my show. So we're going to be doing that on TikTok. If you're a YouTube only person or a Facebook only person, whatever, don't worry. The interview will, at a later date or at a later time, be uploaded to YouTube as well, so y'all can watch that. But we have Ashley Banfield coming on. Again, if you go to my bio, you will see the live event for tomorrow. Make sure to register for that. It's pretty awesome. I'm really excited about it. With all that said now, just a quick heads up again, if you're coming in late, if you're watching on TikTok, again, you might want to head over to YouTube if you want to see the pictures and the little video. If you don't care about that, then, stay right where you are. Do me a solid. Make sure to follow if you're new. Hit that. Keep tapping that screen, because the more you tap, the more it gets it out. We're at 27. I'd love to see this thing at 50,000 before we get to the UHC CEO, which is going to be right after this story that we're talking about. So let's just jump right on in here. Let's talk about the TikTok ban, okay? Because this is actually a very interesting story. It's been kind of quiet today, but the DC Circuit Court of Appeals delivered a major blow to TikTok, which what they did is they upheld a law that could force the sale or ban by mid-January. The court rejected TikTok's First Amendment challenge. Basically, TikTok was saying you are infringing on Americans' First Amendment rights of free speech, saying that it is protected in America, right? That's what they're saying. And the court rejected that, saying that, well, while free speech is protected in America, the government can act to protect that freedom from foreign adversaries. And they're upholding it. Now, this law, which was signed by Biden back in April, stems from years of concern about TikTok's Chinese ownership. The original push came during Trump's first term when he attempted to ban the app over national security concerns about ByteDance and being, Chinese owned. Potentially sharing user data, with Chinese authorities or manipulating the algorithm for propaganda purposes. But here's where it starts to get really interesting, okay? Because don't count it out yet, guys. Because despite initiating the original ban attempt, President-elect Trump has completely reversed his course, stating during his campaign that he now opposes a TikTok ban and that he wants to save the platform. Now, I'm going to give you my personal opinion on this, okay? I believe that this shift might have a lot to do with a man by the name of Jeff Yass. If you guys don't know who that is, he is a billionaire. He is a significant Trump supporter and donor, and he has a massive stake in ByteDance. His personal stake is around 7%. He's a co-founder of Susquehanna International Group, which is a trading company. And that company owns about 15% of ByteDance. So this guy, Jeff Yass's personal, like that 7%, that personal that he has, that's worth $21 billion. $21 billion. All right. So that's why I think that, don't count it out yet. But again, make sure to follow your favorite creators on other platforms just in case, right? But the options on the table are clear. Either ByteDance must either sell TikTok's U.S. operations or face a ban. Some potential buyers have already emerged, including Trump's former Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and billionaire Frank McCourt, who say they're putting together a consortium with over $20 billion in capital commitments. So that's what we have. Now, I was hoping that you guys would get me to 50,000 before the UHC CEO, but we did not quite do that. They'll keep tapping, please. And we're going to get to the UHC CEO right now. All right, let me close this real quick. All right, let's talk about this guy. So real quick, before we get into today's developments, for those of y'all who are new to the situation, weren't here to see the recaps yesterday, let me just give you a very brief recap for those just joining. Actually, real quick, let me TikTok. I learned something new, and I'm going to ask you guys another favor too, aside from tapping that screen. To help get this pushed out, if you guys go to share, like even if you don't have anybody to share the live and copy the link, it counts as a share. If you could do that for me too, even if you don't share it, that's a big thing too. I'm really trying to get TikTok to stop hating me. So, that's the case. But anyways, for those of y'all who aren't aware, on December 4th, UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson was fatally shot outside his hotel in Midtown. He was heading to an investor conference. The shooter, who demonstrated tactical expertise, used a specialized suppressed weapon, which has been identified as law enforcement believes he used a B&T VP9. That weapon appears to have experienced multiple malfunctions during the attack. Police recovered shell casings at the scene with written messages, delay, depose, and defend written on them. That appear to be a reference to an insurance industry criticism about a book talking basically why insurance companies delay. It's like, delay, deny, defend. Book by J.M. Feynman, which talks about why insurance companies try to deny claims and what you can do about it. Physical evidence that they have found includes a water bottle and a phone that was dropped in the shooter's escape route, and surveillance footage shows that the suspect stayed at the hostel on the Upper West Side before the attack. Now, Thompson, who was separated from his wife and living apart from his family in Minnesota, they were living like a mile or two apart, was recently involved in a controversy. He faced a lawsuit from the Hollywood Firefighters Pension Fund, alleging he and other executives sold over $117 million in company stock while concealing a Department of Justice antitrust investigation. And despite having an assigned security detail and previous threats, Thompson was alone when the shooting occurred. The NYPD is offering currently a $10,000 reward for information leading to an arrest, although I've not seen UHC put anything up, just saying. with particular interest in the suspect's distinctive gray backpack and cream-colored jacket. For more details on the initial investigation, if you missed these yesterday, you can catch yesterday's full episode here on our YouTube channel. Now, for today's updates, let's start with DNA evidence and forensics, right? Let's start right there because we have a bunch of stuff. Guys, we got a lot to talk about since yesterday. All right. So let's talk about the breakthrough that could be just potentially days away. So investigators are processing multiple DNA samples from a water bottle that was purchased at Starbucks shortly before the shooting. Bullet casings found at the scene and various items from the Upper West Side hostel where the suspect stayed. They've already recovered one fingerprint from the water bottle, though it's partially smudged. The processing of this evidence could provide crucial identification information within days. But here's where my thing, okay? Here's where my theory is on this. If he's never been arrested before, the photos that we have, which we'll talk a little bit more about here in a second, the photos that they have, the DNA evidence, it's going to make it harder for them to find him, and it's going to take longer for them to match him. Just bear that in mind, all right? But here is an interesting theory that's emerged about these items, and I'm going to use the keyword here with y'all, theory, okay? I don't want y'all to run out and be like, Justin said this. Don't do it, all right? Don't do it. But a theory is that while this might have been reviewed like him dropping the phone, dropping the water bottle, might have been viewed as careless mistakes, some investigators now believe certain pieces of evidence might have been intentionally left behind. The burner phone and water bottle found in the alley could be calculated misdirections rather than errors. Because every time there's an error, they get led down the wrong path. It takes them longer to come back, right? That theory aligns with the overall pattern that we're seeing with this guy. Someone methodical enough to plan for 10 days or longer, at least 10 days, wouldn't accidentally leave a trail unless it served a purpose. Right? And if you're watching this in the future for my YouTube folks, drop your thoughts on that in the comments. Okay. If you think what you think about that timeline. Now let's break down this timeline. All right. The suspect arrived in NYC on November 24th, entering through Port Authority bus terminal around 9 p.m. He came on a Greyhound bus route originating out of Atlanta, though investigators haven't determined where he actually boarded. All right. So even though the bus originated in Atlanta, they don't know where he got on. This 10-day window before the shooting suggests extensive preparation, and that's just before the shooting, okay? He checked into an Upper West Side hostel, which was later identified as the HI New York City hostel on Amsterdam Avenue near 104th. He used a fake New Jersey driver's license and paid in cash. Notably, he checked out on November 29th, only to return on November 30th, a pattern that suggests careful operational security. During this period, surveillance cameras captured him conducting what appears to be reconnaissance, including visiting the Hilton area days before the shooting. His movement patterns between the Upper West Side and Midtown demonstrate either intimate knowledge of New York City's geography or meticulous research and planning. You guys can determine which one of those that is. All right. Now, a key break in the case came from what might be the suspect's only genuine mistake, or perhaps movement of overconfidence. I don't know. During his hostel stay, he engaged in what staff described as a flirtatious interaction with a front desk clerk who asked to see his quote unquote his pretty smile. This led to him lowering his mask, striking deviation from his otherwise careful efforts to maintain anonymity in one of the most heavily surveilled areas of Manhattan. Like, I cannot stress to you guys how many cameras, how heavily surveilled this area of Manhattan is. And these images from the hostel provide the clearest look at the suspect's face, though it raises questions about where or whether this was truly a lapse in judgment or displays a level of confidence that borders on brazen. Now, the weapon, which I'm not going to show today because YouTube apparently doesn't like it either, but you can Google it. If you want, if you haven't seen the weapon, I would recommend that you Google it because it is a crazy looking weapon. It is the B&T VP9, just so you guys are aware. The weapon choice has become a focal point in this investigation because the police believe that the assailant used this B&T VP9, which is a modern version of the World War II era Welrod assassination pistol. That's what it's called. It was basically a spy gun. This is an extremely specialized weapon with an integrated suppressor. So you guys want to know about, could he have bought the suppressor separately? No, because this firearm comes with it integrated, right? Something so unusual that even former NYPD captain and current mayor Eric Adams noted he had never encountered one during his law enforcement career. Now, while the shooter demonstrated proficiency in handling the weapon, including quickly clearing multiple malfunctions, which I have a theory on the malfunctions as well, this expertise has led to competing theories about his background, right? And I'm going to tell you real quick, because I'll get into my theories with you real quick. And again, the key word is theory. And it's rare that I share my personal opinions on cases when we don't have the information or operating on limited knowledge. But I'm trying to just use like critical thinking and best judgment here. And again, you don't have to agree with me. The type of firearm he bought is not going to just jam. All right. I mean, it's a very high-end firearm. And you would think that it's known for being made with extreme quality. It makes me wonder if because we know he wrote on the ammunition. I almost wonder if the ammunition might have been reclaimed shells and he packed it himself. That's kind of what I'm starting to think about. That's my opinion. It's my opinion. And so maybe some of those, because I've had firearms not work because of bad ammunition. All right. That being said, I also don't believe that this was a professional hitman. I don't believe this is somebody who was paid for a hit. There's a lot of reasons I think that, and we can get into that a little bit. I think that this was a guy out for revenge. That is, again, my opinion. Now, let's get back to what we're talking about. Let me get back to my notes here. The expertise has shown that with the weapon that he had with the weapon, how well he was able to use it, it has led to competing theories. Some initially suggested that this pointed to a professional hit. Several experts, including bounty hunter Zeke Unger, who works with the U.S. Marshals, believe that this was a revenge killing, as do I. All right. That's what I believe. That's my belief as well. The evidence supporting this theory is compelling because the messages carved into the bullets, which is delay, depose, and defend, appear to reference an insurance industry tactic and book, which I'm showing the book right here for those of y'all who haven't seen the cover of it. That's on YouTube, guys. TikTok, you can't see it. Which is criticized, the tactics being criticized in J.M. Feynman's book right here. It's a 2010 book about why insurance companies don't pay claims. The fact that he wrote that on there shows a deeply personal touch, and it suggests to me that this is somebody with a grievance rather than a contract killer. Now, the day of the shooting, the timeline is precise and reveals careful planning. At 6:15 a.m., cameras captured. I got a map pulled up on TikTok for my TikTokers on YouTube, just if you guys are aware for what I reference here. At 6:15 a.m., cameras captured him leaving the 57th Street F train station. By 6:17 a.m., he was at Starbucks purchasing a water bottle and energy bars. Around 6:30 a.m., surveillance footage shows him on the phone, and by 6:44 a.m., he was positioned for the attack. After the shooting, he escaped on what appears to be a pre-positioned electric bike into Central Park, which again suggests extensive advanced planning of an escape route. The NYPD has launched a massive search of Central Park. Obviously, we know all of that, right? Particularly focused on finding the gray backpack the shooter was seen carrying. Their search involved mobile field forces conducting grid searches throughout garbage cans, dumpsters, and bushes. They are very interested in finding that backpack, guys. They are very interested. But the fact that the backpack hasn't been found suggests the shooter might have had a change of clothes and a disposal plan ready as well. Bear in mind that. Because again, you change clothes, you get rid of the items that are going to be captured in video. All of a sudden, you hide in plain sight. And I'm guessing this man scoped it out to find the area that there would be no cameras. That's my guess. Now, let's talk about the corporate impact on this, right? I know that y'all don't care about corporate America, but I'm going to tell you anyways. The impact on corporate America has been immediate and far-reaching, right? Major healthcare providers across the country have dramatically increased executive protection. It's been reported that companies are adding security details, enhancing mail screening protocols, and implementing new precautionary measures. This isn't being treated as an isolated incident, but as a potential harbinger of broader threats against the healthcare industry leaders, right? I'm changing my photos here for you guys. The investigation is now spanning multiple fronts. Police are analyzing surveillance footage from hundreds of cameras across Manhattan's sophisticated network, and there are a lot of cameras, guys. They're particularly interested in the suspect's movements between the Upper West Side hostel and Midtown, which could reveal additional locations he visited or potential evidence he left behind. The sheer volume of cameras in this area of NYC make it particularly notable that he managed to stay masked at most locations except for that crucial moment at the hostel. The forensic teams are processing evidence from all the confirmed locations that the suspect visited, including fingerprints and DNA samples from the hostel room. This is being cross-referenced with the water bottle evidence and the shell casings, and the timeline for DNA results is particularly critical because that's, if you're going to see a breakthrough, that's where you'll see a breakthrough within days, right? But the investigation now focuses heavily on the suspect's likely background profile. Given the combination of tactical expertise and personal motivation, investigators are examining whether he might be a veteran or former law enforcement who experienced a personal loss related to insurance coverage. Basically meaning, was there a loved one who was denied coverage, ultimately died, leaving him with nothing left to lose? If so, that theory would explain both his weapons proficiency and the emotional nature of the attack. Now, I'm going to show you guys real quick. I'm going to pull up a video of the surveillance footage that was yesterday. Again, if you are on TikTok, you won't be able to see this. It's on YouTube, Just in the Nick of Crime. I'm going to put it up anyway so y'all can see the surveillance footage that came out yesterday. But the surveillance footage continues to yield new insights. Recent analysis shows him around West 85th Street as approximately 7 a.m. on Wednesday, helping establish his escape route. This tracking ability is a testament to Manhattan's extensive camera network, which includes not just NYPD cameras, but thousands of private security cameras, building surveillance systems, and traffic cams. Yet despite this comprehensive coverage, the suspect managed to largely avoid clear facial identification, except for, again, the one moment at the hostel, right? So let's see what else. I lost my train of thought here. Wait a second here. Okay, we talked about the corporate America, but let's talk about what else they're doing, because they have been swift and comprehensive in trying to keep their leadership safe. Multiple major providers have not only increased security, but have begun removing executive information from their website. UHC itself appears to have taken down its leadership pages, and other insurances like Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield, which we'll talk about here in a moment, and CareSource have also followed suit. This digital scrubbing indicates companies are taking seriously the possibility that this attack could inspire copycats. I'll talk a little bit more about the weapon for a second. So the specialized nature of the weapon is something else that they're very interested in. The B&T VP9 continues to intrigue investigators because it's not a common firearm. It's specifically designed for discrete operations with its integrated suppressor and unique rotating bolt operation. The fact that it malfunctioned multiple times during the attack, yet the shooter cleared those malfunctions efficiently, suggests someone with extensive firearms training, but perhaps limited experience with this particular weapon. They are also investigating apparently a purchase in Connecticut of one of these weapons. Again, they are rare. Now, the manhunt has entered its third day. Today is the third day, y'all. With investigators pursuing multiple leads simultaneously, they're analyzing cell phone data from the area, processing surveillance footage, and awaiting DNA results. The NYPD, as we know, is offering a staggering $10,000 reward for information leading to an arrest, particularly focused on identifying the distinctive gray backpack and cream-colored jacket that the assailant wore. One of the most puzzling aspects remains Thompson had an in-house security detail assigned to him, right? But for his New York trip, they weren't with him at the time that the shooting took place. That detail, combined with his wife's revelation about previous threats regarding lack of coverage, raises questions about whether more could have been done to prevent this tragedy. Now, the implications of this are far and wide, right? The implications of this assassination, as they're calling it, extend far beyond one company or one CEO. It has sparked intense discussions about the state of America's healthcare. It's corporate security as well. And this is in an era of growing anti-corporate sentiment, right? And we'll come back to that in a second. And the vulnerability of high-profile executives. The methodical nature of the attack, combined with its seemingly personal motivation, has created kind of a new category of threat that security experts are now scrambling to try to understand and how to defend against it. This case is very interesting, though, because it represents an intersection of multiple concerning trends: sophisticated tactical execution, personal grievance, and corporate targeting. And as we await the DNA results and continue to track new leads, it's clear that this investigation will have far-reaching implications for corporate security, the healthcare industry, and how we think about protecting executives in an increasingly volatile environment. Now, let's talk about some of this for a moment, okay? One of the things that was just talked about here that I had in my notes that I wanted to make sure I brought up was what we just talked about here regarding the anti-corporate sentiment, right? And how do I want to word this? I'm going to share this from my observations, right? From being a social media creator that's covering this story, and the comments that I've seen in my comment section and in others, and what I've seen you guys say in these lives, okay? And the way that I'm going to word this is that everybody has the right to feel however they want to feel. All right. There seems to be no love lost for this guy. All right. Nobody seems to care. It feels like the Titan sub all over again when you had a bunch of very wealthy people perish going down to visit the Titanic. Nobody really cared. They were more interested in what happened, but not really. There were no real thoughts and prayers, right? It wasn't there. And that seems to be the sentiment here. And one thing that I do kind of want to say as we talk about this sort of thing, that I just want you all to know as you're watching this, okay? And this is just me speaking from my heart on this. Some of you guys in here, we have 1,100 people on TikTok, and we have another almost 300 here on YouTube right now. A lot of y'all, there's going to be some of y'all in here who are very gung-ho about your job. If you work for corporate America, you don't own your own company. I'm talking to the people that don't own their own company. All right. And you're gung-ho. You want to be seen. You want to be heard. You're loyal to a fault to your company. Here's one thing that I want to let you know. Your company does not care about you. If you passed away, they would have your job posting up within a week. You are not irreplaceable. Nobody gets to the end of their life and says, man, I wish I worked more. All right. I think that this is one of those things that kind of helps prove that, to show the sentiment that, towards corporate America, that loyalty is gone. And if you're one of the people that still shows it, I'm not telling you to not do your job. Do your job. If you want to get ahead, do what you got to do to get ahead. But remember, one good layoff session and you're gone. They don't care. It doesn't matter how much they like you. Your people who you work with are not your friends. Just remember that. Maybe it's a little cynical. Yeah. And real quick, somebody said in YouTube, true, and they're not your family. If a company ever says we're like a family here, run. Run for the hills. Get out there as quickly as you possibly can. All right. If you own your business, you work for yourself. That's different. I work for myself right now. Although I'm probably going to have to go back to corporate America, which sucks, but it is what it is. Let's talk about Anthem. I want to talk about this. This is going to be real quick. So you guys know that we've been talking about, in the wake of all of this stuff, the fact that Anthem Blue Cross, who is one of the country's largest insurers, has been embroiled in a controversy over a planned change to their anesthesia cover policy. In November, they notified providers in several states. Beginning in February, they would start using Medicare metrics to determine payment rates for anesthesia services. This meant Anthem would only pay up to the Medicare-approved rate for anesthesia, even if a procedure took longer than the standard duration. If an anesthesiologist billed for more than the Anthem-approved amount, the patient would be held responsible for covering that difference out of pocket. All right? Let me just kind of break that down into layman's terms for those who are like, what did he just say? Basically, think about when you go to a mechanic and they pull out a book and they're like, okay, hey, you have a Honda Accord, you need to replace your alternator, right? Go to their computer, they pull out a book and it says, all right, it says for a Honda Accord, an alternator is going to take 2.5 hours. Our rate is X. We're going to charge you for that 2.5 hours. If it goes over, if it goes under, you're still being charged for that 2.5 hours. It's a predetermined book. Healthcare, we are not cars. Human beings are not cars, right? So basically what that was saying is that if you go in for surgery, doctors take longer. Maybe they find something doesn't go as routine as they hope that it will. And they're only have allotted 2.5 hours for that anesthesia, but it takes 4. You're now responsible. You're now on the hook for that additional hour and a half. That's what this was saying, right? And the American Society of Anesthesiologists immediately pushed back on this, calling this a cynical money grab by Anthem, which I would agree. And by the way, for those of y'all who don't know, I have an insurance background and a healthcare background. So while I'm not a physician, I worked in medical device. I've worked, DME medical med device, and I've worked in pharma. And I've been in a licensed insurance agency, or like not an agency, but I've been a licensed insurance agent. So I do know what I'm talking about here. I feel like I can speak very, very intelligently to this topic, and just saying. But the anesthesiologists, or Society of Anesthesiologists, argued that this policy would essentially put an arbitrary time limit on procedures, forcing patients to pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars if a surgery or other medical service ran longer than expected. It could also result in doctors, surgeons rushing your surgery, which has its own set of issues, right? But here's where I think we have good news on this, okay? And I really want to kind of talk about this in particular, right? So the backlash of this gained momentum very quickly, with politicians in the affected states, because the states that it was going to be rolled out to was 3. It was going to be Connecticut, New York, and Missouri. And by the way, just so y'all are aware, typically when insurance companies do that, those 3 states were very likely their test market, right? So they were going to roll those out, and politicians came out and called the plan appalling, saying it would saddle patients with thousands of dollars in surprise additional medical debt. Because think about this: you're under the knife, you're under anesthesia in a 2-hour surgery, but something happens and that surgery only takes 5 hours. What do you want them to do? Are they going to wake you up to ask you? No, they're not going to do that. They're going to have to keep going. So you'll be like, surprise, here's a bill that you weren't expecting because your insurance company ain't going to cover your anesthesiology. It's BS, y'all. Because what are you going to do? It's like, hey, sorry, we're in the middle of taking, doing this valve repair to your heart. But we ran out of time. Do you want us to keep going or what, whatever. All right. But facing intense public pressure, Anthem yesterday decided to completely reverse the anesthesia coverage policy change. They didn't own it, but they reversed it. Here's what they said. In a statement, the company claimed that it, quote, never intended to deny payments for medically necessary services. That's what it said. And the proposed update was only meant to clarify the appropriateness of anesthesia consistent with well-established clinical guidelines. All right. Unfortunately, not everything is going to fall under well-established clinical guidelines. Not everybody is a textbook case, right? Experts suggest that Anthem was likely trying to rein in what they saw as an excessive anesthesia billing, but their proposed solution would have essentially amounted to surprise billing on steroids, forcing patients to shoulder the burden instead of working out a provider contract. But the swift backlash and Anthem's rapid reversal highlight the growing power of engaged citizens to hold insurance companies accountable when their policies seem to compromise patient financial security or just the integrity of healthcare in general. In the age of social media, y'all, coordinated online outrage can quickly pressure even the largest industry players to change course. This incident is a prime example of how the internet and the voice, you guys, y'all watching this right now, getting mad about it, can push back against the healthcare industry practices that put profits ahead of people. It demonstrates the influential role that an informed, mobilized public can play in driving meaningful change in an increasingly complex and contentious healthcare landscape. So I just want you guys to be aware that it was y'all that did it, right? You guys be proud. You know what? I'm going to hear from my thing. Be proud of you guys. Y'all did it. That was awesome. Sorry, I'm even playing back with that. Anyways. Now let's, I bet because it's been a few days with all this stuff going on, y'all thought I forgot about Diddy, right? Did y'all think I forgot about Diddy? Did y'all think I forgot about him? Because I didn't. I haven't forgotten about him. And we do have some major developments that demand attention. Some of the stuff that you guys have been really wanting me to watch and talk about. And we're going to do that right now. So multiple controversies have erupted in the last few days and kind of simultaneously, which is painting kind of a complex picture of legal challenges with Diddy, constitutional concerns, and precedent-setting moments in the celebrity justice arena. So let's just examine these developments a little bit, right? I want to start with the unauthorized recording and distribution of federal court proceedings, which represents one of the most serious breaches of the judicial process in recent memory. That is something that could allow Diddy to walk. All right? The social media person that recorded those could be solely responsible for Diddy walking. All right? Federal law strictly prohibits recording or broadcasting criminal proceedings under multiple statutes. For the individual that did it, the individual responsible, consequences could be severe and far-reaching. All right. Under 18 USC subsection 401, criminal contempt, courts can impose unlimited fines, and imprisonment at their discretion for deliberately violating court rules. Now, with this particular case, the premeditated nature of recording multiple sessions, including arraignment and bail hearings, suggests systematic violation systemic violation. Systematic. Sorry, I'm having a moment here. Having a stroke. Violation rather than an impulsive act, potentially enhancing penalties, right? The leak could trigger charges under 18 USC subsection 1503, which is obstruction of justice, carrying up to 10 years imprisonment per count. And with multiple recorded sessions, prosecutors could stack charges And if the leaker held special access through employment or professional status, credentials, additional charges for abuse of that position could apply. The digital distribution through TikTok creates another unprecedented complication. Federal cybercrime statutes might apply if court systems were compromised or recordings transmitted across state lines, which with TikTok they would be, invoking the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act with potential 5 to 20-year sentences. The viral nature of social media distribution exponentially amplifies potential jury pool contamination. And for Diddy's case, these leaks generate grounds for multiple defense strategies, right? Like I said, this particular things. Somebody, Tabitha is asking, I'm going to come back to your question, Tabitha, in a second. The cameras in Diddy's home they don't matter. They don't matter at all in this case. Actually, I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to talk about, so on my thing, I just want to kind of address because I don't want to forget. So Tabitha on YouTube says, you don't think his cameras in his home got footage? No, his cameras absolutely did. His cameras are not a federal court. It is not allowed to record in a federal court. It is illegal. That's why you don't see federal proceedings on TV. It is a federal crime to do it. That's why you don't see it. That's why you don't see them. So what was recorded in his home doesn't matter. That's it. What was recorded in his home is evidence. What was recorded in the courtroom is criminal, right? But again, like I said, for Diddy's case, these leaks can create grounds for multiple defense strategies. His team could argue the widespread dissemination of proceedings irreparably taints any potential jury pool. The recording of private attorney-client conversations during proceedings may compromise privileged communications. The breach raises serious concerns about the security of sealed or confidential information, potentially requiring extraordinary measures for future hearing. The detention disputes reveal deeper constitutional concerns, right? While the government provided a laptop for case preparation, the defense argues current restrictions effectively denied Diddy Sixth Amendment rights. And his attorney's characterization of these conditions as untenable gains a little bit more weight considering the vast evidence requiring review across multiple cases. The restrictions, limited to specific rooms during set hours, create practical impossibilities for adequate defense preparation. So basically what that's meaning is Diddy was supposed to be assigned a laptop and they're not giving it to him. All right. Then you have surveillance allegations surrounding the cell raid and photographing the legal documents present in the cell, and that presents serious constitutional violations as well. While prison officials captured and distributed Diddy's legal notes, they potentially violated, not filed, both attorney-client privilege and fundamental constitutional protections. Though Judge Subramanian ordered these materials destroyed, the defense maintains irreparable damage to their trial preparation, right? And this incident suggests, again, attempts to undermine defense strategy and development. The civil cases continue to pile up, and they reveal troubling patterns of alleged behavior. Recently, there's a new one. The 2014 Las Vegas case provides detailed allegations about exploitation through celebrity status with specific mechanisms of strategic use of party promoters as facilitators, calculated deployments of substances and alcohol, selections of controlled environments and high-end hotels, pattern of morning after scenarios, suggesting premeditation, right? The involvement of party promoter International Smooth and specific details about spiked Ciroc vodka at Planet Hollywood suggests an organized system rather than isolated incidents, which is how he got the racketeering charge, right? So this case benefits from Nevada's elimination of statute of limitations for SA cases, potentially opening doors for other victims there, because he partied a lot in Vegas, previously time barred from seeking justice. They can come in as well, right? The court ordering, now there's another court order too, and this one kind of works in Diddy's favor. The court order requiring the 2003 victim in one of Diddy's SA lawsuits needs to reveal her identity, and that also marks a crucial development in victim privacy rights. That case involves allegations of gang R when the victim was only 17 years old, test the delicate balance between public court access and victim protection, right? The ruling could profoundly impact future SA cases, particularly those involving minors or high-profile defendants. The requirement to reveal identity despite the sensitive nature and age of the victim at the time, again, raises serious questions and concerns about victim protection in a modern media landscape, right? Current detention conditions highlight stark disparities as well. Beyond basic meal provisions, let's talk about Diddy's holiday accommodations. What's he having for Christmas dinner, y'all? Anyways, beyond basic meal provisions, we'll talk about in a second, holiday accommodations, the restriction to impact Diddy's ability to manage his business empire during crucial periods, right? It impacts that as well, but I mean, he's in jail. His attorney's comment about food quality being the roughest part understates the comprehensive lifestyle change imprisonment represents for him. The constraints affect everything from communication with family and business associates to basic, just daily routines. One other thing that I forgot to put in my notes real quick, that's actually kind of a big deal, is somebody joined the prosecution on Diddy's team, and it's actually kind of a big deal. Her name is Maureen Comey. She is FBI Director James Comey's daughter. She was also the lead prosecutor on the Ghislaine Maxwell case. She has joined in with the prosecution against Diddy. Hold on, guys. There's a news break. I'm going to be right back, guys. Hold on. Hold on. We might have some breaking news. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, guys, sorry about that. We might have some breaking news here. Give me 1 second here to get it pulled up. I just got a very interesting headline about the UHC person. So hold on. I'm going to go back to Diddy, but this might be more important. Hold on. Bear with me. The title of this article is UHC UnitedHealthcare CEO might have hired his own killer, according to a former police commander. So I want to look at this. You know what? Let's just read it together. Guys, and then we'll go back to the Diddy stuff. All right. I think this is breaking. I want to do though. I want it because we're on YouTube. I want to do this real quick because I like doing this. Hold on. All right, real quick. Let's talk about. We have what came up here. So we're just gonna read it together. I haven't read this article. It just came in. I don't know what it's about. Let's read it together, right? The headline is UnitedHealthcare CEO might have hired his own killer, according to a former police commander. Let's read this. A former Maryland State Police commander suggests that UHC CEO Brian Thompson might have orchestrated his own death. While talking with CNN, Major Neil Franklin told Dana Bash that it is a possibility that Thompson may have hired a gunman to kill him Wednesday morning around 6:45 on the street near the Hilton Hotel. Midwest Franklin believes the gunman knew too many details about Thompson's moves. There are times when people have orchestrated their own demise for certain reasons. Bash asked Franklin if he was saying, is it a possibility that he hired someone to kill him? And Franklin responded, absolutely. It cannot be ignored. In the pre-dawn attack, Thompson was outside the Hilton Hotel where UHC was holding its investor conference. Thompson was walking toward the Hilton dressed in a suit and tie when he was fired upon by a gunman who appeared to be lying in wait. The suspect fled on foot to a back alley, then hopped on a bicycle in the direction of Central Park. Emergency medical services responded and transported Thompson to Mount Sinai Hospital. He was in critical condition and he was declared dead at the hospital just after 7 a.m. At a midday press conference from NYPD headquarters, police said they believe the shooting was premeditated. The suspect appeared to be proficient with firearms. The rest of it is stuff that we already know, it appears. Franklin said that while he's not saying definitively that this is the case with Thompson, people have orchestrated their own death for insurance purposes. Maybe they fear some type of investigation down the road. Maybe they want to leave their family in a good light. In talking about that, they bring up the fact that Bloomberg in April reported that Thompson was among a handful of senior execs at the company that sold over $100 million in stock before a federal antitrust investigation was made public. I'm talking more about that. Thompson specifically sold shares. Franklin said he knows the criminal investigators are looking into that theory as a motive. Interesting. Police haven't revealed a motive for the shooting, but say it appears to have been targeted and premeditated. The words deny, defend, and depose were reportedly found on shell casings recovered from the scene. This guy knew too much about where he was going to be at a specific time. When you look at the timeline of him coming to that area outside the Hilton, where he was outside of the Hilton, it's a very small window, very small. It's not like he was roaming around. Saying that this guy knew he was there, he was laying in wait. Who would have that specific type of information? So you guys, that is the breaking news that just came in. So you guys can take that what it's worth, right? Just so you know. Now, let me get back to Diddy real quick, because that's what we were talking about. I do not remember where we were. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, the investigation for going back to Diddy real quick. I'll do a video on that one, by the way, for those of y'all who came in on that late. But the investigation continues expanding as new witnesses emerge weekly. The combination of federal trafficking and racketeering charges, along with the multiple civil suits, does create a complex, unprecedented complexity for both legal strategy and case management. And because what this means is that basically the defense team for Diddy must simultaneously fight criminal charges, manage civil liability exposure, address claims of unfair targeting, combat prejudicial publicity, navigate complex jurisdictional issues, and protect client interests across multiple venues. And these developments raise fundamental questions about the justice system's fairness, victim protection, pretrial detention rights, and modern media's impact on court proceedings. As his May 2025 trial date approaches, those issues are going to intensify, potentially setting important precedents for future high-profile cases. Right? It's insane. But things that keep going on, going into a trial, hearings, and recording things that you're not supposed to be recording, that could lead to a mistrial if his defense, who is good enough to argue those points. So people need to stop effing around with this. It's one thing to report the news and talk about what's there. It's another thing to violate court order, court precedents, court rules, court mandates to take stuff that's not supposed to be for the public. You just can't do that. You just can't do that. Well, all right, fam. That's all we have time for today. Let me take a moment to speak directly to my TikTok crew, guys. If you're just joining us on this wild ride, I need you to do two things first. First, smash that follow button. And second, head over to the YouTube, which is Just in the Nick of Crime, for full unfiltered breakdowns of these stories. Because trust me, you don't want to miss a single detail. And if you did come in late, you can always go to YouTube, and this entire broadcast is there waiting for you to watch at your leisure. You can fast forward it, rewind it, put it on pause, whatever you want to do. Now, let's take a moment real quick to reflect on the stories that we covered and the threads that tie them together. We started with the TikTok ban, a move that could reshape the social media landscape as we know it. And I hope to God it doesn't get banned, because this is how I make my living primarily. But as we know it could do that. But with the incoming administration ties to ByteDance, the real question is, will this ruling stick, or will it get lost in the political shuffle? Who knows? We're going to continue to follow that. Then we talked about Anthem's reversal, which is a stark reminder that when the people speak, when the people come together, even the biggest corporations have to listen. It is a victory for patient advocacy, but it also begs the question, how many other controversial policies are slipping under the radar? And of course, we can't forget one of the most important topics today, what's going on right now, which is the UHC CEO murder investigation. With each passing day, new evidence emerges that paints a picture of meticulously planned killing. The DNA, the surveillance footage, the cryptic messages on the bullets, it all points to somebody with a very specific motive. But what that motive is, that's the mystery, what we're trying to unravel. And finally, the Diddy legal saga, the leaked recordings, the harsh detention conditions, the mounting civil allegations. It's a case that's testing the very boundaries of celebrity justice. But more than that, it's a stark reminder of the power imbalances that still plague our legal system. Now, these stories might seem disconnected on the surface, but dig a little deeper and you'll find one common thread: the fight for transparency, accountability, and justice in a world that often seems stacked against the everyday citizen. So as we close out today's episode, I want to leave you with a challenge. All right? Keep digging, keep asking the tough questions, keep holding those in power accountable. Okay, I want to repeat that one. Keep digging, keep asking the tough questions, and keep holding those in power accountable. Because that's how we create real, lasting change. And to my YouTube fam watching this later, do not forget to leave your thoughts in the comments. Your insights and perspectives are what keep this conversation going long after the camera stops rolling. None of this would be possible without you and the mod squad, the day ones, the newcomers, and everyone in between. Your support, your insights, your commitment to the truth are what keep this channel thriving. Hit those like buttons, keep those comments coming, and most importantly, never stop seeking the truth. We'll be right here with you every step of the way. Until next time, this is Just in the Nick of Crime.